already knows how, and he ain't telling. Poor Ben Teo's onto Ryanair to change his ticket. Even the Titans will look better. No Teddy, no problem for the Chucks, though.
Joshua's granddad said, so embarrassing for the Broncos. Never looked capable of stopping the Roosters. Even carrying the barrel-chested Ryan Hall, the scoreline could have been so easy. Could have so easily been a lot more. And they even threw in a piss-take drop goal for good measure. If Varney's not in the Great Britain squad for the next World Cup, Wayne needs his head looking at.
Varney? Varney?
That's what it's...
I don't know. I just thought it was a player I missed.
Yeah.
Does he...
Farnworth. I bet it's Farnworth.
Yeah, well, look, Herbie had a couple... I think he dropped a catch, didn't he, early on, but to be honest, he was part of an error-ridden Broncos side, and...
maybe not. I don't know. Who knows what this weirdo's talking about?
Look, if his own kin don't know, then how am I going to know?
I normally do pretty well.
But Dom, good to see Ryan Hall, even if he had no sniff of scoring a try at all at any point of this game. But he
look, he made some meters. He had a captain's call. Let's not talk about the echo of it. But do you know what? It's nice to see him not injured, playing out there. I just wish they'd put the frigging names on the back of the shirts. It pisses me off every time. I'm like, do I know that one? I can't say I enjoyed this game because I was getting flashbacks to the College Cup final with Leeds and Hull. I'm like, just give them a point, make it interesting. Just let them do something. I mean, it just... And you've also got you've got to think that if this is what people are choosing because there's no other sport, like, well, it's a bit boring, and I like rugby league. Nobody likes to see a one-sided game.
I think at least you get to see some good skill on show, but you didn't see much opposition, did you, in this match, Sarah?
No. Sorry, I just had to go and open the door for the cat. No, there wasn't a lot of opposition.
Which, to be honest, achieved more than the Broncos achieved in this match.
The Roosters, they were just carving them up down the centre, and they were just making meters for fun, weren't they? There was just, the defence was shocking.
It's really...
Varney was the loose forward, wasn't he?
Well, he's not British.
That doesn't stop a lot of Australians playing for us, does it? He was Joshua's man of the match. I've just realised he was the Roosters' loose forward. Joshua loved him.
Oh my God, his name's gone from my mind, and I'll try and get it up on my. Oh no!
Sorry, that was an interjection in the middle of something.
It was in the middle of you talking. You interjected yourself, Scoots.
But they were just making meters for fun, weren't they? And Roosters weren't tackling. No, sorry, the other people weren't tackling the Broncos.
Yeah, it just didn't. I don't understand what's happened to the Broncos. They've come out of the break and they've really been so lacking. Like, have they not done the same sort of training build-up that all the other teams have got? Have they missed something out there? Is it the fact that they're so inexperienced and they've got a lot of young players in that forward pack? They've got new combinations in the spine. Is it those things, or it's just it's shocking? Whereas the Roosters, everyone was thinking two losses from two to start the season. Are they quite going to be that same side again? But even with the high temperature for Tedesco, they still absolutely smashed it. And it was good, wasn't it, to see Ryan Hall back? I know, I know some people want to stick to their own clubs and who they like, with who they like and don't like giving credit to people who play for Leeds if they don't support Leeds and that sort of stuff. But Ryan Hall's an England legend, is our top try scorer for England. We want him to do well in the NRL, and he did in this game. He really had an impact. It's just a shame that he doesn't look like a winger anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else
More
to
like
say.
second forward.
Victor Radley was the name of the loose forward for the Roosters.
Okay, so it wasn't Barney, but I was close.
I mean, it was as close as your dad was to any of the names, wasn't it? It helps us get there. Let's move on to the next game, which is a game I didn't watch, which was the Panthers 26, the Warriors 0. No Brit watch to look out for in this one, but we did have a fan review in, Sarah.
Yeah, the Panthers young heart did a great job in this usual pairing of Warriors were dog shit. I felt terrible for the right drops us, and then a potentially redeeming effect chalked off. There are plenty of blowouts in the NRL already that seem weird.
Yeah, and we will get to some closer. Sorry, my internet connection is bad today.
It just seems like some teams know, like each game seems to start off quite intense and quite high level, with the 6-again rule, and things being played a lot faster, and with one referee it's a lot freer. You know, maybe some mistakes don't get caught and things like that. And then it slows down in the second half, but it seems like teams get beat up in the first half so much that they sort of lose the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I just think I think the conditioning isn't quite there. That's my take on it. And if you're behind and your conditioning's not there, you're going to fight less, aren't you, to win when you'd already lost.
Yeah, and maybe young halves, they've got a bit more fire in the bellies, a bit more determination, a bit more energy.
And you're gonna feel that even more, aren't you, when you're on the winning side of things quite conclusively, like we've seen in a couple of games that have got blown out. But yeah. Right. So the next game did have some interest for us, and it was the Storm versus the Rabbitohs. When unfortunately Tom Burgess came out on the wrong side of this. Even though he did play for the Rabbitohs, it was the Storm 22, the Rabbitohs 8. Plenty of interest in this one.
Yeah, Alan Walker says, just shows that grim, scrappy games can still happen with the new rules, and Cookie still cannot benefit from them. Storm grind it out again. I still want to know what happens when Storm do a captain's call. What does Smith say to himself? Can I overturn my own call? Yes, I can. Or does he have to run up to the bunker as well?
Lee Whitnell says, brave choice for the South boys to experiment with using their feet for their hands. Didn't pay off. Back to the drawing board. Melbourne went amazing, but Popperson and Munster both showed flashes, and that was all that was needed. Popperson's aerial back into play was incredible. Well played. Purple cheating. I'm not saying that on a podcast.
He said, well played, purple cheating cunts. Well played. I'll say it. Joshua's granddad, who didn't say that word, said, both teams doing their best to throw it away with the Storm flattered by the final scoreline. So many errors by both teams.
And then Tom Andrews. Wow, he's a bit of a stranger, isn't he? Said, I'd like to see Pappenhuizen's try those acrobatics at Cass. Oh, I'd like to see him try those acrobatics at Cass. He would end up on Darryl Paul's knee, staring into Ryan Sheridan's spooky eyes. Just a thought that nobody needs, Tom.
So obviously he's referring, if people didn't watch the game, I'm sure everyone's seen the clip though, at least if they haven't watched the game, of Pappenhausen tapping a kick to touch back into play from about 1.5 yards into touch and 1.5 yards into the air, which was quite exciting in this game. And Lee summed it up pretty well, didn't he? Pappenhausen and Munster both did show really good flashes in this game. But also, I think your dad, Sarah, summed it up quite well at the final scoreline. Did flatter the Storm a bit, because the Storm probably only had 3 good moments of play in the whole game, but they scored off all of those moments of play. It was so Storm-like. It was control, control, control. Unleash your talent at the right time to score an amazing try. Control, control, control. That's what they did in this game, and the Rabbitohs couldn't quite go with them because they didn't have the control. They had plenty of opportunities, but they didn't have the control when those opportunities came their way, whereas the Storm had the control and then just executed. It was very, very Storm-like.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be great if you can score when you've got the ball and the opportunity, do you?
But they scored some really good-looking tries, the Storm, in this game. It wasn't like the tries came to them just by wearing the opposition down. It was almost like the tries came from the middle of the field rather than the top end of the field. That's why I suppose it wasn't like an end-to-end classic where both teams had tons and tons of opportunities. The Rabbitohs probably had more close to the line opportunities than the Storm did and bollocks them all up. But the Storm scored some cracking distance tries because they were patient and waited for that chance and then executed when they had that chance.
Yeah.
A close game. We've been wanting a close game, and the Storm Rabbitohs felt like a close game for lots of the game, but this one truly was a close game and had a controversial ending, and that was the Eels 19, the Sea Eagles 16.
Yeah, good. So, Fredrickson S, who is new to me.
Yeah, new one on board. Welcome on board.
If the Manly forward pass at the end would have been called okay, then you would have been focusing on the try earlier by Walker, where there was clearly a separation between the arm carrying the ball and the ball. Should have been a no try.
Sorry, I was just saying good night to Scarlett. Alan Walker. Great game. Two of the best teams to watch. It went down to the wire. Eagles starting to look like the real deal. We'll see in 2 weeks when they take on the Dukes.
And Lee Whitnell said, I enjoyed this game. Two good teams having a real go at each other. It should have been capped off with a great winning try for Manly in the last minute, but for a harsh and incorrect call. Them's the breaks. Hands up emoji.
Shrug emoji.
Yeah, whatever. That. But this
emoji.
I mean, this game was the game that was talked about all weekend. It was talked about beforehand because the Eels and the Sea Eagles are two of the sides who have started the season very excitingly. We expected a lot of points. We didn't get a lot of points, but we didn't get much crap play either. We got a very good game, and then the decision right at the end is kind of what everyone's talking about the most. And it took us what? It took us about 12 games back in before we had a serious ref's fault or match official's fault on this game, and it was the forward pass that wasn't a forward pass to release the final try that wasn't given in the game. So I guess I'll jump there. What were people's takes on that decision?
I was at a virtual conference all day Saturday, so I didn't see it, I'm afraid.
Some would argue, Sarah, that the touch judge was at the same conference.
Possibly, yeah. Joshua said everything was grand.
Fair enough.
Talking of the forward pass, someone shared, I know it's a rugby union video, but about passing and just how a passing backward I can actually look forward with the momentum. And they did it with lines. I tagged Super League Pod into this.
I did
and
see
I watched it earlier.
I held myself back from saying yeah, but that one where he threw it up in the air, that was forward anyway. Come on. What was that about?
But yeah,
that wasn't a sideways backwards pass out of the hands. That was just bollocks. I don't know what that was.
Right, but let's just look at the first two in there. I thought that was so interesting when you see it with the lines there, how it can look forward. And maybe next time before I shout forward, I'll sort of have a think about that. But I probably won't.
There you were.
Yeah, I know our friends on This Week in League have talked about it for years, like doing kind of, when you're watching the swimming in the Olympics and they kind of have the world record timeline going in front or behind of the swimmer who's swimming and that sort of thing. And they're saying, well, you could do the same thing to track if a pass has gone forward properly, because you could track the player and the ball together. But this wouldn't work for that even, would it? Because the player's momentum was stopped. The ball did come backwards out of his hand.
The ball is still going forward.
Yeah, the ball did go backwards out of his hands, which is what it has to do to satisfy the rule to be a legitimate pass. So it was a wrong call by the match officials. But at full speed,